Welcome to Kapeleris Ultimate Talk TV. Be inspired, informed, and elevate your mind one step at a time. Talking about life, real estate, business, and beyond. Your host, author, speaker, real estate broker, Carmela Zita Kapeleris.
Hi, and welcome to Kapeleris Talk TV. I'd like to introduce my guests for today's show. I have Colleen Donovan from CMD Home Staging and Jill Ackerman from Stage Right. Hi, nice to have you here on the show.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. Colleen, you recently wrote a blog called "The Stager is a Crackpot." That's not very flattering. Why would you call a stager crazy?
A lot of realtors are a little reluctant to put a stager in front of their client. They're not sure what the client or what the stager is going to tell the client, or if they're going to offend them in any way, because quite often a stager will give the client a huge list of things to do. Mm-hmm. Their house is full of stuff that they've had for 20 years or whatever. We need to pare down some of their belongings. We need to sometimes get them to paint, change out carpeting, that sort of thing, and it can be really, really overwhelming.
Right, and sometimes people go, what is that crazy stager asking me to do?
Exactly, exactly. And you as a realtor would hear that from the client. The client would be saying, why did you bring that stager here? She's nuts.
Right.
She gave me 5 pages of stuff to do, and I cannot possibly do it.
Exactly.
So our recommendation is you keep your relationship with your client, and you tell them, you're right, she's crazy.
Yeah,
she's a crackpot. She's
right.
asked you to do a lot of stuff. However, Miss Client, if you do that item, your house is going to sell.
Right.
It's going to sell.
Right.
So go along with them.
Yes.
Because it is overwhelming, and we understand that.
Yeah.
But try to help them understand the reasons why they need to do what they need to do.
Exactly. And Jill, Colleen is absolutely right when she says that, sometimes realtors fear that a stager is going to offend their client or be too pushy and insistent. How can stagers work best with realtors and prevent that from happening?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think that what I try to do is make it clear what the relationship is between the realtor and the stager. I like to think we work in partnership. We're not formal partners, but we're working as a team, as an interdependent team, to get the house ready to sell and to get it sold quickly.
Mm-hmm. And perhaps sometimes, realtors can also interview a number of stagers before they get them in front of their clients.
Absolutely.
If that is one of the concerns, right?
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, because you want it to be a good fit.
Yes.
Particularly some realtors deal with seniors, for example, and seniors are a very challenging client group because this has been home for, as Colleen said, a number of years.
Yeah.
They're very attached to it, and it's difficult for them to make the transition. So I think that that issue of fit is best dealt with before, and hopefully the ideally, I should say, the realtor and the stager are working in partnership.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Good advice. Yeah. Colleen, we've often heard the expression that you have one chance to make a first impression.
That's
but
correct.
when you're selling a home, you actually have 2 chances to make a first impression. Can you explain that?
Well, that's absolutely right. It sounds crazy that you get 2 chances to make a first impression, but a lot of people fail to realize that the very first impression is the MLS photos.
Exactly.
So basically, a client is choosing a price range, they're choosing a neighborhood, and they're going to start looking through MLS at properties that they think they may want to see. 95% or more will start online. And they may be looking at their iPhone, they may be looking at their computer, and they're just flipping through very quickly, looking at all these pictures of all these homes in their price range and in their neighborhood.
Yeah.
If they're grainy, blurry, messy looking, they're still going. They're not even going to pause
to look at those. Or if you have things all over your fridge, or they're not properly staged, you haven't decluttered. going
But
to make
then
a
when you
bad
see
impression.
that bright picture, the one that just, you're not even sure what is so wonderful about it, but there's something great about that property,
Yeah.
you stop and you say, I need to see that property.
Right. So first impression is photos. Second impression is in the home.
The second impression is that as soon as you walk through, well, actually before you walk through the front door, you pull
Right.
up your car to the front of the curb, you've got your first quick look at the outside of the property, then you walk in the front door and it better grab you. It better be, wow, this house is amazing, I need to go see more.
Yeah, that's
So that's
true.
your second first impression when you walk through that door.
To extend on what Colleen said, Jill, buyers usually decide within the first 8 seconds whether or not they're interested in that home.
That's right.
And it usually, like we said, that starts online with photos. And I think we talked about those, some of the ways that stagers can help agents with photos. Can you maybe lighting? How else can a stager help the realtor with photos?
I think by doing good staging that is going to showcase the best features of the house. So the eye is drawn to those features. And we do that by placing our items in such a way that they're easily captured by the camera. We also, some stagers do take their own photos. Often you're working with a realtor's professional photographer.
Correct.
And I think we have a great responsibility to make sure our staging is going to show well. That's through the use of color and color flow and just consolidating everything so that it is going to show well and professionally and clean.
And opening the space so that there's the light has been infused, the natural light.
Right.
So when a professional photographer takes those pictures, they can capture that open space, that openness, the light, and the flow, and again, the architectural features.
What are some tips for staging and selling your house with pets? Can you give us some tips on what you can do if you have pets and you're in the middle of a sale or a staging?
We typically recommend that there be no pets in the house while the house is being shown and while it's being staged.
Maybe take your pet on a mini vacation.
Yes.
Get a friend to pet
Take it
sit.
to grandma.
Yes.
Have its favorite kennel, its favorite
yes.
babysitter,
Model
and
homes
so
don't
on.
have pets.
Right.
And that's what we're trying to achieve.
Exactly, and odors. There are two
That's
issues.
important.
One is odors and one is allergies. And so when you're coming into a home that has pets,
Right.
you need to eliminate all signs of those pets. Some
Correct.
people,
Some people might have allergies.
yes, and some people try and cover the odor by putting these plug-ins and different scents and so on. But in fact, there are a lot of people who are now allergic to those. And then you have this mix of scents.
Yes.
And sometimes the result just isn't all that great.
Yes.
So we just say, take the pets out while you're selling. It's
The litter
short-term
box,
pain.
put it in the garage or in the car
Yes, and make
somewhere,
sure
take
it is kept immaculately clean.
Yes.
And eliminate odors. Use air purifiers, non-chemical, to just eliminate the odors.
The other piece of that is that some people really have a true fear of dogs, even cats.
Some are intimidated.
Yeah, snakes, or some are scared and others are just completely put off by them.
Yes.
So if you leave your pets or any sign of your pet in the
Right.
property, you're losing that group of buyers.
Correct. That's a really good point, Colleen. How about tips with kids, moving and staging your house when you have small kids? What are some tips on that?
Well, I think we usually recommend that they keep toys put away.
Right.
And make sure that the house is always in showing
Get
condition.
them involved in it and make it like a game, maybe a game and reward system.
Particularly staging their own rooms.
Staging their own rooms.
Yeah.
When a showing comes up, maybe give them a to-do list to take put their toys away as soon as and a reward. Give them a reward after too, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, because that plays an important part too. We can't have toys all over the place when we're selling a house after we've staged it so wonderfully, right?
Well, and that's great for a certain age group. With little children, with toddlers and so on. It might be a little bit more challenging, but they can be helped to do that as well and make it fun.
Right, right. Okay, how much of a vacant home should you stage, both of you? How much of it should you stage? Every room of a vacant home?
There are some who would advise that. Ideally, yes, because you want to convey the function of every room in the house. That being said, however, there are usually two major limitations. One is time and one is budget, and we have to be respectful of those. So what we tend to look at is key selling features, what is going to really sell the home, and what are the deal breakers. If it's not staged, what is going to be the negative impact on that?
Right.
But there are key rooms we do tend to stage.
Entrance,
The
entrance,
the
kitchen.
big rooms. You want to get them at Hello New Home. So whatever you see as you walk in the door,
Right.
you want staged.
That
Yes.
very first room.
Yeah.
Yes.
And typically that's living room, kitchen, dining room, family room, master bedroom, and anything else that is a key selling feature. Bathrooms we just do. But those are the main ones: kitchen, living room, dining room, family room.
Yeah, because typically a home that's furnished shows warmth and sells better than a
Absolutely.
vacant home where shows some sort of desperation. So that's important. Just accent pieces, entrance, kitchen, and living areas, probably the best.
Other rooms that you might consider are the ones that you cannot figure what the function of that room is. You don't know if it's an office, you don't know if it's a bedroom, you don't know if it's a playroom. So sometimes it makes sense to just stage that room to give it function so that buyers can understand what that room is.
Jill, Colleen, this is great information. We're going to stop for a break and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Kapeleris Talk TV. I'd like to welcome back my guests, Colleen Donovan and Jill Ackerman, talking about home staging. How can a stager help a real estate agent focus on selling the home? What are ways that they can help them other than staging to work together with a realtor?
Carmela, we usually help by promoting the property on social media.
Yes.
So once we've staged a property, we will take it to Facebook. We will promote the realtor, we'll promote the property itself. We'll give it a little more exposure,
Yes,
so
that's
that
good.
it'll reach a bigger audience. We also promote it on our websites. We promote it on House, Google+, LinkedIn. So you get a lot of extra exposure that you don't have to worry about
Right,
for
and
your
it also
marketing.
promotes your work at the same time, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What about you, Jill?
Well, we also help them get ready for an open house. They may or may not have had a few showings prior to doing an open house. So we can go in, make sure all the linens are fluffed, make sure everything is clean, is put the way it was intended to be placed, and really just have it showing at its best for the open house.
Yeah, lighting, freshen it up, all of those
Absolutely,
things. Maybe even bring
absolutely.
some refreshments.
Yes,
Yes, and then
yes.
also leave your cards there, of course.
We leave cards. We also may leave a magazine that is specific to staging. It's called Staging Standard Magazine. We may leave that there, and just really make sure everything is ready. Make sure at the front door there is a place to put boots that aren't going to all get,
Yes, of course, of
tumbled
course.
on top of one another and so on. So, yeah.
Jill, let me ask you, you wrote a very interesting blog, and it was called Staging is a Dirty Word. Can you explain why you say this?
Well, it's a perception. People say, well, why do I stage? You know, this is not Hollywood. I had that comment recently. And as if it's something phony,
Yes.
and you're doing something that is acting on a stage. But the fact of the matter is, when you go into a place like Coach or Michael Kors, and you see how they've displayed their wares, and you see this gorgeous purse, and it's got a lovely silk scarf draped beside it, and so on, and you just start to drool, and you want it.
Right.
And then you go into you know, a discount department store where things may be jumbled, disorganized, and so on. That is marketing. That is
Right.
deliberate marketing. That purse is staged. It's styled.
So how is it a dirty word?
Well, because it's considered to be a phony word and not quite real.
Oh, I see.
So
Okay.
I liken staging with styling because that's what we're doing.
Right.
You
right.
stage your car before you sell it.
Right.
You stage
so you
your
like
house
styling,
before you sell it.
design. That's a nicer word.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm trying to convince people it's really not a dirty word, but in fact it's a deliberate marketing tool.
Can you tell the people at home what is one of the biggest mistakes that the sellers make when they're staging their home?
I would say the biggest mistake is to list the property before the property has been prepared, before
Yes.
they have actually done
That is a huge mistake.
the
because the first
editing,
impression thing again.
the cleaning,
Yes.
the decluttering, or they've tried to stage it themselves and they haven't quite made the mark, they haven't got the flow right, and it sits on the market for a couple of months, and then
then
they
they do
say,
it. Yeah.
we should stage this property. So our advice is
Big
stage
mistake.
it first.
Yes. Yes.
Stage it first and then list.
How about you, Jill? Do you have a big mistake?
I think I agree with Colleen, or allowing really poor photos to be
Right.
posted on MLS. I mean,
Right.
they can be a horror, and it does you in, essentially.
course, yes.
And after a couple of weeks, your house is already going stale on the market. So
Yes.
you need to get it done.
Get it right from
Get
the
it
two,
right.
outset.
two good
Absolutely.
things.
Yeah.
Do most stagers carry inventory or furniture?
I think it's a question that we get asked very,
Yes.
very often, and I've often wondered why.
I think a lot of them rent the
a lot
furniture.
of them rent. It depends on your market. If there is a good rental partner in your area, I
Right.
think stagers may decide, well, why would I carry it?
Yes.
Especially large furniture, because it gets dated and it gets damaged, and then how do you dispose of it? How do you store it, and so on? So some stagers elect just to keep maybe art, accessories, small furniture, linens, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's not a big deal as long as you include it in the consultation that you're doing,
Absolutely.
right? What is the one best tip or piece of advice that you can give to a seller who's staging their home? Tips and advice. Tips and advice.
Lose the emotional connection. Pretend that you have already moved on. You don't own this property anymore. Imagine yourself in your new life. Think of
Detach yourself from the house.
detach of it. Think of it as a commodity, an
Right.
investment, a building, not something that you're emotionally attached to. You'll be able to sell and move on faster if you
That's
can do
a good
that.
tip. That's a really good tip. Any more tips?
Yeah, I think people have a very difficult time making the transition from something they own to a commodity they need to sell.
Right.
I think also, frankly, a really a good tip is make sure you align yourself with both a realtor and a stager who fits with you, with your
Right.
goals,
Yes.
and that they
good.
can work well together.
That's a good point. Okay, let's go to the before and after picture. Colleen, you brought a before and after picture. This is a picture of a bedroom that was on the main floor close to the garage, and you turned it into an office. Can you explain the picture?
Well, this property was actually a house that they were using almost like a boarding house. So
Right.
they turned a room that should not have been a bedroom into a bedroom. They did absolutely no updating. You can see the wallpaper here is definitely from the 80s. It looks very
Yes.
dated. It's a sad room. It's a very sad room.
Did you take it down, scrape it down, and paint?
We recommended that they remove the wallpaper, paint it a nice light color. The floors were ceramic, so it didn't make sense for it to be a bedroom. We transformed that room into a lovely office.
Did you keep the floors?
We kept the floors as they
Yeah.
were. It made complete sense to have a room right beside a garage as an office rather than a bedroom.
Oh, that's good. How about you, Colleen? Jill, you brought some pictures as well. This is a house that you completely renovated and redesigned.
Virtually, yes. It had essentially been trashed. It was in very poor shape, wallpaper, loud paint, terrible colors, just not sellable the way it was. So we project managed the transition and again removed wallpaper, did flooring, painted, and it really affected both the listing price and the selling time for that house. So it was really quite a major undertaking.
That's great. Okay, what are the different types of consultations that you offer? You offer written, over the phone, email,
Generally,
fax, verbal?
we offer a very comprehensive written report. So we
Right.
go in, we do a full consultation. When we're done, we put together a report room by room, customized, not cookie cutter. There are other types of reports out there, consultations. One would be a walk and talk where there's no report at all, and the realtor or the homeowner is taking notes.
Right.
Another type would be just the cookie cutter one where you've got a photocopy and you're just ticking off, do this, do this, do
Do you
the
give
other
over the phone too?
No.
By email, Jill?
By
My
email.
written report may be by email.
Yeah.
Right.
My consultations are always in person.
Right.
And it depends. We do maybe a consultation just to give a quote on a vacant property, or perhaps they'd like some recommendations, so we will write those out. For an occupied property, we will also do an on-scene evaluation, and either a walk and talk with a report where the seller completes it.
Do you usually like
or-
the realtor to be there when you're talking with their client, or it's not necessary? How do you like to do
That's
it?
a choice. That's a total choice.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable either way. Sometimes realtors like to be there because
Right.
of what we were talking about earlier. They're not sure how the stager is going to behave in front of their client, so they just want to be there to
Exactly.
keep it
yes,
comfortable.
That's really good. Thanks for sharing all of your staging secrets. Can you tell the viewers how they can get a hold of you, Colleen?
You can check out my website at www.cmdhomestaging.com or email me at colleen@cmdhomestaging.com, and my phone number is 905-351-9971.
Jill?
And for me, my website is www.stagerightTosell, that's the number 2, sell.ca. You can reach me by email at jill@stagerightTosell.ca, and my phone number is 289-880-0500.
Thank you for both being on the show. It was
Thank
a pleasure.
you
Thank
for
you for
having
having
us.
us.
It's
We
been
appreciate
fun.
it.